and I just took their word for it, and that's not fair. Yeah. When you're at this stage of life, I trust you with the first 2 months I was working, and then I was just like, mentioned it. I'm like, damn, man, like, I'm like, damn, I'm trying. Like, so the you edited that podcast is very similar
All right. Get this party started. Welcome to the May 18th meeting of the Rotary Club of Des Moines. We're glad to be here at Wakanda with those of you here in person. And we've got several hundred thousand out there watching the live stream right now. and probably many will watch later on our YouTube channel. And as always, thanks to Invictus for helping us today, live stream, so that those aren't here can watch, including some of our newer members. I'm sure Content is out there with Iowa sister states watching us today. And Ashley Hempel of Hubble Realty Company says she frequently watches our live streams. So, thank you, Sandra. Hi, Ashley.
And of course, we will be
sanitizing the microphone between speakers, both here and over there.
We do ask that you keep
keep your mask on, not eating or drinking or speaking from one of the microphones.
I have received some
complaints lately from people live streaming that they don't think our hearts are really in it when we're waving each other.
So,
thought some of your attempts at waving are really lame. So I thought I'd show you a few different techniques. One is the prom queen wave.
Another is the Queen of
England.
And then you've got the
Forrest Gump.
So when it's time
to wave, you might think about one of those techniques.
So with that,
let's go right into the Pledge of Allegiance and the four-way test. If you'll stand, please.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the four-way test.
Now the four-way test.
Is fair to all concerned.
Fair to all concerned. Will
better
beneficial to all concerned.
All right,
now use your new techniques to wave to fellow Rotarians.
Very impressive.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
All right, some people
get a little carried away here.
seen Forrest Gump.
Seen Forrest Gump a few too many times.
All right, happy birthday.
All right, happy birthday today to Leonard and Mark Mahoney. We hope you're watching
Live streaming today.
our live streaming today. We're not at least having a really happy birthday.
Do we have any cyclists?
Do we have any cyclists here in the room today?
All right.
All right.
This is for you.
Well, this is for you.
Now through April 10th,
Now, through April 10th, we help raise funds to end polio with Ride to End Polio. What a great name.
Rotary.
This is a Rotary District 6000 event.
Ride your bike.
You can ride your bike, indoor bikes are just fine, as well as outdoor riding.
Or you could walk, run.
Or you can walk, run,
Anything to encourage.
pledges for your effort.
Get friends and family.
Get friends and family, pledge $1 for every minute you ride, or walk, or run,
Sit on the couch.
or maybe sit on the couch and watch somebody else do those exercises.
So we collect funds.
So we can collect funds and return them to the Rotary Club Foundation.
Kitty can help with this.
Kitty can help with this.
For
For example, each $30 pledge
equals 100.
equals 110 polio
I
vaccinations.
still think it's pretty
I
impressive.
still think it's pretty incredible.
Number of people sitting around.
Number of people sitting around the table years ago saying, "Hey,
Why didn't Rotary go after?
why didn't Rotary go after this and let's conquer polio worldwide? We'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars doing it and spend millions of man-hours. Doesn't seem like it's going to be that tough because it's several decades developed, and yet we're still going strong. Last I've seen, there were only 2 cases in the world this year. So we can keep that from spreading. Sooner or later, we're going to accomplish our goal here.
Thanks to
Thanks to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Each dollar is actually worth $3 due to their 2-to-1 match.
Maybe they're watching our live.
Maybe they're watching our live stream today. Hi, Bill. Hi, Melinda.
And now,
And now, before Randy Forberger introduces our speaker today, don't forget when it's your time for questions for a speaker, please come up to the microphone up front, state your name for the record, and so those out there watching our live streaming will know who you are. And please speak directly into the microphone. It doesn't hide, doesn't shock you. We want people out there outside this room to be able to hear you as well. And we will be sanitizing the microphone between questions. So if you have to drool or spit a lot, Teddy will take care of it. So with that, I'll invite Randy up.
Thank you, President Doug.
Thank you, President Doug.
Rotary
Members. Yes. Today I'd like to introduce Gary Scrutchfield. Known Gary for a long time.
He's going to ask me to keep
And he's going to ask me to keep it real brief. But he and his wife and niece reside here in Moines. Gary is the owner of Lumberman Drywall and Roofing Supply. And anytime I have a question or concern about either one, he's my guy. And you do. I'd recommend
past board member.
past board member. Glad to put in the
Past board member of the
past board member of the Home Builders Association of Greater Des Moines. He's a board member of the Better Business Bureau. He co-founded the Iowa Skilled Trade Alliance, and he is now the president of the Iowa Skilled Trades. 27 years, Gary has promoted building trades in the area high schools. And I know for a fact that he spent a lot of time helping kids build a home here out at Urbandale High Schools and helping these funds that way. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Gary Scrutchfield.
Randy, that was very kind. First off, within the construction industry, we have lost an entire generation of young people who did not have the opportunity to be exposed to.
We're on the verge of
losing another generation. The Iowa Skilled Trades came about because of the need. A group of us got together and said, what are we going to do to bring young people or any people into
the nice thing
about the Iowa Skilled Trades is it is residential, commercial, union, and non-union participants. When I said, here's the idea, we're going to bring the union and non-union people together, they thought I'd lost my mind.
The nice thing
about it is we went and we sat down and talked individually with the unions and non-union people. All of us shared the same goal.
to promote
The industry and get young people into
in the
In the 27 years that I've been,
we've had a lot of success.
we've had a lot of successes. But the other thing that the Iowa Skilled Trades did is that we formed a bond with the education communities within the Des Moines public industry and around the surrounding communities.
The trades part is
The trades part is that we have not a student problem. We have a parent problem, and for years we had a
when we would say,
when we would say
parents would go, you need to go to
parents
college.
would go, you need to go to college. You need to go to college.
The only way you're going to become
The only way you're going to become successful is to go to college.
in today's environment.
In today's environment,
we've
I've got the numbers in the office, but a tremendous amount of
go to
students
college,
go to college
2
2
or
or 3 years.
years.
A lot of them change their majors, and they don't graduate, and they rack up debt.
Within the trade
Within the trade programs, within the
apprenticeship
apprenticeship programs, being union and
they
non-union,
get
they get
a
a 4-year paid education. Now, typically, with the young people that get into the trades, in that 4-year period, they make somewhere between $110,000 and $130,000.
Along with
Their
that,
tools are paid
and
for,
no debt.
and no debt.
And the
The
thing about the
schools is that when we were talking to building trades,
the
instructors would say,
no.
no.
Well,
I'm going,
once you're
well,
a plumber,
once you're a plumber, all you do is dig ditches.
and we ran
And
into, when you're a carpenter, they look at you and they go, So when you put in windows, build doors, build houses.
Doors, build houses. Okay. You're not in an office scenario. You're not in a warm environment when it's 10 below zero. We work. When it's 90 degrees, we're working. But through those conversations, we began to find out that with the education community, one of the successes is we go, okay, and when you're in the trades, it's lifelong learning. There is continuing education. So when you start to get in with these guidance counselors or instructors or directors now, and say, okay, how often do you have to go to school? And they say, well, every 2 years we have to go back for 10 hours of continuing education. I said, whether you're a carpenter, plumber, electrician, welder, we have to go back to continuing education. And on top of that, safety training, which was always involved. They had no idea that in the trades it is lifelong learning. The other unique part about it, when you talk to the educators, they're looking at you and they're going, well, it's not a viable income. In the Des Moines Public District, as I've talked to many teachers around central Iowa, the average debt on a teacher is somewhere between $40,000 and $65,000 when they go back for their master's. They said, here you have a position, you've trained for 4 years. To be in the apprenticeship program, you have to test through math to get in. And the other thing is that it's 576 hours of continuing education over 4 years. So these young people are going to school at night or during the day, and you have to have a minimum of almost 8,000 hours of on-the-job training. And they're going, well, that's fine, but it's not a viable income. Some of the numbers. With the carpenters, after the 4-year apprentice program, whether union or non-union, is somewhere between $24 and $26 an hour. That's $48,000 to $53,000. And you're doing the teachers, do you make that kind of money? And they just kind of look at there. I said, the HVAC people, they have a 5-year apprenticeship program. Those young people are coming out somewhere between $75,000 and $90,000 a year. You can buy houses, you can promote, you can have a good living and be well respected. The other thing is that when you look at the trades, for years it was classified as you were a carpenter or a welder, you were asked and held in high esteem. Nowadays they look at you like, why do you do that? Well, I enjoy working with my hands. Here's what we're faced with and have been faced with for a period of time through the educational system. If you fail on your Iowa basic skills, the school systems around Iowa look at you and say, well, you don't fit into this box. So therefore, you're probably not college material. And therefore, and the teachers in all the schools deny it, but any young person that's hands-on training, they consider an at-risk student. And they don't think you're going to graduate, and they don't think you're going to amount to anything. Ladies and gentlemen, 75% of the people that I work with in the trades, we didn't go to college. We went to night school, and I'll put our income in the way they work against anybody within the industry. So it's an education problem. And one of the things we're doing, and I appreciate being here, is that we're trying to convince people to understand that the trades are a viable option for young people, and you can have lifelong learning, and you can make a good living and be well respected. Some of the numbers. In 2017, Mid-America Energy. Anybody here with Mid-America? Okay, here's the deal. Know them well. They were a great supporter of another program, but the average welder at Mid-America Energy was 57 years old. Annual income with those guys that have been around was somewhere between $115,000 and $135,000 based on the amount of overtime. Amazing. When you tell people in the education community, they look at you and they go, I can't believe it. It's true. A master carpenter here in the Des Moines metropolitan area is somewhere between $35 and $47 an hour. The best job that I have heard, and I had the pleasure of meeting with them, was the elevator operators. Now it's union, Those guys are trained in fire safety, electrical. Their straight time, $54 an hour. Straight time. And because it's a life safety issue, they have continuing education once a year for 10 hours. But and it's a very tight-knit group. There's only 240 of them in the state of Iowa, and they cover Iowa and South Dakota. And that's a situation, if you don't perform well on math, they won't let you in. And that's the big issue. Randy stated, I started this 27 years ago. I would bring young people to my house on Thursday night. Typically, there was 6 to 10 of them. And I read blueprints back then before they were all electronic. So I'd be sitting at my kitchen table, and I would explain to these young people that it is construction math. I didn't talk about algebra. I didn't talk about geometry, trig, none of that. I said it's construction math. And we would read the plans, and I said, on a hip roof, what is that? And they said, what do you mean? I said, what's that shape? Well, it's a triangle. And you would teach them how to cover the area of a triangle. These young people were all hands-on learners. And if you could put something in front of them to show them reality, they would get it. But in the school system, because they didn't understand A, B, C equals R, they were deemed at risk. The funny part was, with that whole scenario, their instructor at the Era High School called me and said, Mr. Scrutchfield, I don't want you dealing with my students anymore. I said, why? She explained that I wasn't teaching them in the right manner. I said, I'll be over. So I walked into the classroom, and there was 3 of the young people. They stood up and they said, good afternoon, Mr. Scrutchfield. And I said, okay, here's the deal. And I drew a house plan, and I'm no architect. I said, gentlemen, figure the area of the roof. They came up and they did it. I said, you teach in theory, I deal in reality, and that's these people and the way they learn. Never had another call from any other teacher in the Des Moines metropolitan area, which I was happy about. And I have a dear friend that is a teacher coordinator for Central Campus here. So that being said, the other nice thing about what we're doing at the Iowa Skilled Trades is that there's a piece of paper in front of you, and it's on April 14th. I encourage you to come. We have 2,000 students coming from across the state of Iowa to see what's going on. And these young people are going to get to talk to electricians, plumbers, welders. We actually, and I'm very proud of this one, there's actually a booth, an area outside for crane operators. And what makes me most proud about that is the 2 young people that will be operating the crane, showing the other students how to operate. They're only 17 years old. My insurance agent is just all over me saying they're not old enough. I had a conversation with him. I said, okay, they're not old enough. When did you start driving a tractor on the farm? He goes, that was different. I go, shut up and get out. So the other thing is at the Iowa Skilled Trades, we started out with 26 students at Central Campus. Last year we had 374, or a little shy of 400 in the program. The main goal of this is to get them out in the workforce. Now, personally, in the people that are the board of directors of the Iowa Skilled Trades, I don't care whether union, non-union, it doesn't matter. Our whole emphasis is to get these young people excited about the skilled trades and stay in Iowa and work and pay taxes. That's our goal. And a lot of people are like, Gary, you're not pro-union. I said, I can't be. The main thing is, and we repeat it to ourselves, is it's for the students. And it is so important that the outside community begins to realize that the trades are a viable option and they need to be supported. Had a conversation with Governor Reynolds. This was a year ago, 2 years ago. I said, Governor, the last 3 buildings that were built for the state were built by out-of-state contractors because we didn't have labor to do it. In the city of Des Moines, we're a phenomenal facility, great city, great state. But on so many of these commercial projects, because due to the lack of labor, companies are having to join together with other contractors in order to facilitate the schedule to build these buildings. And there's not anyone that I've talked to and I go, what do you need other than this year? More people. And that's what's driving the Iowa skilled trades. As you look at it, and I said we had a people problem or parent problem before, excuse me. Had a young man, and my wife and I sponsored a home building project for 10 years with the Urbandale Community School District. The people from the Iowa Skilled Trades were involved. We had 242 students through the program. 81 of those students stayed in the trades. 81 of those students were classified as at-risk and CDNF students. It is the opportunity that we are trying to create and promote is what's going to drive our industry going forward. Maybe some of you didn't know, the construction industry is the number 4 leading economic indicator in the United States today. Now, that's a chunk of change. The other thing but during this program, 1996, had a young man, he was a natural for electrician. Unbelievable. Everybody that was there in the 11th commandment, because these young people were working side by side with commercial and residential contractors. The 11th commandment was, you will not hire these young people until they graduate. That's the law. And they were so desperate back then, they were just chomping at the bit. And this young man, phenomenal. He came to me and he said, Mr. Scrutchfield, I'd like to be an electrician. I'm going, the guys have been waiting for you to make that comment. And when he graduated, he tested out. He was in the apprenticeship program, 2 years. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that his mother was a functioning alcoholic, and she convinced him that he didn't need to work with his hands, he should work with his head. He dropped out of the program. I've kept in touch with him. Today, he's a part-time package handler at FedEx, and he tends bar at night. And it was disturbing that his mother did that to him, but we see that in a lot of cases. And it's very, very unfortunate. We had another young man in the trades program. Here again, sponsored by one of the members of the Iowa Skilled Trade, happened to be an electrician. This young man wanted him to be the electrical business since he was in middle school, and that's where he first got to see about the trades. The contractor that was doing the house remodel said, look, he was going to school in the morning building this house. They were so busy at the time, and this was in 2003, that they hired him so he would go to school in the morning. He would work on the construction sites, and this young man was working from noon to 8, 9 o'clock at night. Then on weekends, he was moonlighting with the guys he was working with. And unfortunately, in his senior year as a high school student, he made more than the industrial arts teacher that was a first-year teacher at the school. And I can testify to all those numbers because he was my son. Yeah, and now he's a superintendent here. But the thing is that the young people that get into this industry, they don't get out. They have a passion for it. They enjoy it. And going forward, it is critical that the communities and the industries begin to support these young people. The unions and the non-union shops spend hundreds, if not millions of dollars on their training programs around the United States. We have to continue to educate the students and the educators in our community going forward so that these young people have the opportunity. The ultimate goal of the Iowa Skilled Trades, this might be a little premature, but we went to the state of Arkansas. In the state of Arkansas, they have an education permit fee. The fee is based on residential and commercial. It's basically $1 a thousand. Every home builder in the state has the opportunity, or every contractor, to opt out. So on a $500,000 house, $500. The first year they had the program in the state of Arkansas, it generated just shy of $1 million. The Iowa Skilled Trades, we've approached 3 cities in the metropolitan area, outlying communities. We wanted to start small. We've received an endorsement from every community for this program. Rather than opting in, we prefer they opt out so the money stays going forward. So if you're building a deck and it's $5,000, we ask for a $25 fee. They see the need for this type of program. I've met with every major builder, home builder in the entire state of Iowa, Mason City, Cedar Rapids, Burlington, and they were all on board. The question is, how soon can we get it going in the other communities? We received letters of endorsement from the communities. We feel the first year here in the Des Moines metropolitan area, this will create somewhere north of $600,000. Now, the beauty of this is that it's made up, and because of my affiliation with, they won't let me on the board because I'm biased about the communities and the kids. But what we have is we have a board made up of a city official, a member of the education community, the general contractors, home builders, and a few other tradespeople in it. But it's set up so that these outlying communities to revitalize their industrial arts program. So that if in Dallas Center Grimes, if they need another table saw, they can allow and put in for a grant, we'll write them the check. We feel it's the only way that we'll be able to get the trades back up into these high schools. The education fund seems to be is cut with a lot of legislators. And what's gone on in the trades at the school level is when we were young, when I was young in the last century, you had sheet metal, you had woodworking, you had small engine, you had auto mechanics. Well, at the area high schools, in most cases, they closed down all of those rooms and made them computer technology labs. The schools were worried about the liability, and a lot of the principals didn't understand the building trades. And I said, have you ever had a toilet placked up on a Christmas Eve? You know, you'll pay the price. And I said, and it takes skill to open that up. They kind of looked at me and go, no, you know, we want them in college. We want them in the community college. I found out that 10% of the legislatures are directly paid by the community colleges in this state. And they was at a conference, and they were talking about poor people in the state of Iowa and helping these young people. And I go, apparently you don't understand what poor is. That means no money. These young people don't have funds to pay the tuition. They can't do it. But within the trades program, we can get them a job and pay them, and they can support the engine or themselves. I had a problem with the educational community because I kept talking about the building trades and apprenticeship programs. They didn't understand. This went on for me, and I'm a slow learner, and I apologize, but for about 3 years. Finally, it dawned on us, and I said, what do you want to hear? For an apprenticeship program at the high school level, it is now approached at post-secondary education with the opportunity for employment and a lifelong learning. Sounds good. I prefer the shorter version. But with that, the education community can, and they do understand what we're trying to offer. And then when you get into the wages, it's beyond their comprehension of how much the potential is for these young people to make. It's beyond their capability. And you're talking to them, and I go, okay, one teacher in particular at Will Raymond Amos, but he works with Gary, he has a master's degree. His annual income is less than $65,000. His debt for that education is pushing almost $72,000. Don't say his name. But that's what we're trying to come across. And what we're looking for is support within the community to understand and promote the trades and not look down upon us. These young people need the opportunity. That day, April 14th, is so important to us because these young people are coming in from all across the state. I personally and the other members are so committed. We're paying for the buses to come in because the schools don't have money within their budgets to get these kids exposed to the building trades. But with that day, there are seminars going on so these young people can sit down, they can talk to electricians, they can talk to plumbers, they can sit in the seminar and see the opportunities that are in front of them. And we're also hopeful that the education community be with them as chaperones and to do the continuing education. We've come a long ways, but I'm going to show this and then I'll shut up. But was at an area high school talking to young people about their futures. Maybe some of you have heard this before. I didn't. Going around the room, one young man said he wanted to be a truck driver. Great. One young man had a natural aptitude, and we got him employment after that for heavy equipment operator. Was going around the room and complimenting the kids on their dreams and be supportive. And then I had one young man, and I go, "What are you going to do when you graduate?" He looked at me and he goes, "I'm going to take a gap year." Anybody heard that? You heard of that? I didn't. That's a year where he says, "Well, I'm just going to stay at home and do nothing and just kind of hang out." And I said, "Are your parents fine with that?" He said, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, they don't have a problem with that at all." I'm sure looking at this crowd, the back thing when you graduated was your father's shoe showing you the door. Yeah, you've all been there. I know you have. I was there myself. But we feel confident. The lines of communications, which were closed for so many years, are now open with the education community. We have great young people. They are capable. We don't want them rat-holed as as at-risk students. I've seen what those young people that they classify at-risk students as and what they're capable of. One group of individuals with one school built a $425,000 house. Most of the material and a lot of things were donated. The school that was in charge of that netted $100,000 profit. That's what these young people are capable of if we give them the guidance and the opportunity and the support to see what the trades are all about. And there's not a trade in the city or in the state of Iowa when I'm around talking to people that doesn't need more people. And technology, we're dealing with lasers, computers. I was talking to a heavy equipment operator and he plugged in the numbers on his computer, and the cat just cut down and I was like, wow, unbelievable. This generation needs the opportunity because if we lose this, we're going to be in worse shape than we are now. Thank you for your time, and I'm glad to answer any questions. I hope it was educational. Thank you, because I'm used to dealing with drywallers and roofers, and they throw stuff at me, so this is good.
Well, I've made a grievous act here, and I defaced one of your nice sheets by writing on something that your remark reminded me of. And so anyway, my name is John Lewis, and I really appreciate your being here. And I think you have a wonderful message that needs to be heard. And Mike Rowe, I'm sure, is one of your is a great spokesman for your.
We were the group that brought him here.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But at any rate, as you were speaking, I was reminded of something I heard a long time ago, and I used the back of your sheet to try to reconstruct it as I remembered, and it was by John Gardner, who's a former secretary of HEW. He founded Common Cause. He did a lot. I think he was president of a university somewhere along the line, but whatever. He said words to this effect: that society which exalts a philosophy because it's a noble calling and degrades plumbing because it's a humble calling will produce neither good philosophers nor good plumbers, and neither its pipes nor its philosophies will hold water. Thank you.
Well put. Thank you. Okay, now the hard question from Chris. I know he's.
My name is Chris Anderson. John, bonus points if you actually wrote those notes with a carpenter's pencil. Did you? No? Okay. Nice. They only get worse. I have a firm belief that there's a distinct difference between not understanding and refusing to understand. How do you reach those parents that don't understand but are willing to be coached? How do you get through the parents that refuse to understand? Is there a program for that?
Basically not, but what we ask is that myself and several of the other people involved, we go to parent-teacher conferences. We also go to a lot of community events that aren't sponsored by the schools. Ethnic, we try and explain to them that this is a viable option. And in virtually every society except for one, you always want your children to do better than you. We had two young men that were at an area high school, wanted into the carpentry program. We got them some jobs on site. They were 18 years old, so they could run equipment. These young men were from Africa, and they were making $14 an hour, okay? Good money being in high school. They came back in, and they informed me that they needed to quit. Now, these are two young men that rode the bus to get to work, could pass a drug test, were good in math. And I said, what's wrong? They said, we make more money than our father, and he's the patriarch. And we can't work and do that to him anymore out of respect. I had to step back, and everybody goes, what are we going to do? I said, we're going to get the father, and we're going to get him a job. And we did it, and the kids are still working. So, but the thing is that it takes time, because in dealing with so many of these people, Chris, they don't understand the apprenticeship program. And when you tell them that it's continuing education and it's lifelong learning, most of them begin to listen. There's a few that are just flat out, no, that's not for my son. Okay, we try, and if we convert one, we won. I've had parents walk away from me at Central Campus on a career night, but they didn't want their son working with his hands. I will tell you this, we have a couple of lady tile setters. These gals are phenomenal. So I don't mean to, women, young men, young women, they want to work, we'll find them jobs. I promise you that. That's our goal. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for your program. My name is John Tone. My question is, which one of the skilled trades have to be licensed, and how is it determined whether they should be a licensed skilled trade or not, and how do they accomplish getting the license? What qualifies them?
In order to be licensed, you plumbers, electricians, they have to go through the 4-year or 5-year training program. They have to do their minimum at that level, 8,000 hours with most of the trades, continuing education. There is a test that is given in Marshalltown, Iowa, and before you can be classified as a journeyman, whether union or non-union, you have to test out of these programs. Carpenters, they have a testing program. It's not quite as intense. The certifications deal more with life safety issues, so gas, plumbing, electrical, those tests, and I've read them. I sat on the electrical review board for a while with the Associated Building Contractors. They're intense, but it's not a slam dunk with that program. But virtually every trade, with Mid-America, they train in-house. They test you there, and you have to perform your welding. And the gentleman that administrated the test is as tough as anyone I've ever met, and they want things done right. But it does have within each program, they have testing and certification, and there are criteria to meet that.
Sean Mullen, welcome. Thank you for your passion. It's refreshing to hear it. I am a recovering percussionist that happens to be in the engineered fire protection business. So a lot of the time we struggle with attracting our technicians to the field. And as I listened to you talk about the education, I was also thinking about the external messaging to the broader community in the sense of, I think what John was pointing to, making the trades honorable. And I know that in our world, we have, when we talk to young people, we don't ask them, do you want to work with your hands? Do you want to work with a voltmeter? Do you want to work with a pipe threader? We ask them where their passion is at. And we try to tap into saying, if you come and work in the fire protection trades and the life safety trades, that your passion is saving lives, helping to save lives, helping to protect property. And we found that has played well with attracting younger folks because they are looking for a larger calling. I'm curious to see if in your external messaging you have considered similar types of approaches.
Yes, we have. To that level with fire safety and things of that nature, not to that level. But the thing is that what we tell these young people is, okay, whether you want to admit it or not, we have a drug problem at a lot of these high schools and with younger people. And that is a consideration that we have to deal with on a daily basis. It's unfortunate, but we tell these young people as we talk to them, and you can kind of get a feel if they're excited about staying in their trades, but we tell them, show up, be able to pass a drug test, and if you have a passion, we can teach you what you want to learn. Because, here, I apologize, I didn't bring this up earlier. Because of our partnership with the community schools, because of Kerry and his people and the staff, we found out that over 60% of the young people going in for the electrical and carpentry programs failed in math. Staggering number. So after about a year of conversation with the school, they now teach a class on construction math. Geometry, algebra, trig, don't bring it up. It's math that's regulated to electrical, plumbing, HVAC. So we've taken the fear out of it for these young people. And by doing that, they feel accomplishment. The other thing that this group of individuals did is they raised $2.2 million for Central Campus. And in school districts, I don't know, a lot of people you are familiar with, I've been in front of too many school boards, but bureaucracy is rampant. The group of us, when we started this, they said, we need a classroom. And I said, okay. So I went to all of our friends and we sat down and we said, okay, what do you need for an electrical lab, carpentry lab? And we figured it out that it was about $450,000. So, for those of you in the trades and business, there's a little arm twisting going on when you need a favor. Everything in that school, in that classroom, was donated by businesses in the Des Moines metropolitan area. So we met with the person in charge of the structures for the Des Moines Public School District, and we go, here's a proposal, it's free. And he looks at me and he goes, well, I need 3 bids. No. And we had to explain to him, and then he was like, well, we need a bond. I said, okay, you want a bond? We'll put up a bond. And he goes, what if there's something wrong? I said, we're dealing with the best of the best. It will be taken care of. And it was. We did another classroom that is now for HVAC and electrical. There's no money in the budgets for that, but this group of individuals, and there's a board that deals just with the education side. The Iowa Skilled Trades is a broader picture, and we're working statewide and trying to share with all the communities to get the budgets opened at the school district so we can show these young people that and teach the educators that it is a viable option. I've sat in front of a lot of school boards, and none of them have ever worked in the trades. I was amazed. And when you start talking about the opportunity for income and continuing education, the light kind of clicks. So we're gaining support. So with your help, if anybody asks, please, it is an honorable trade. You are all welcome on April 14th. Myself, Kerry, and the board will be in red shirts. If you see us there, grab us. We'll walk you around, but we're excited about that event, and we're moving forward. So thank you. Good day.
Thank you, John, for being with us here today and for your informative presentation. I think this has been an ongoing problem for a number of years, and it's probably not going to get much better. But I think your efforts are definitely going to help. So we're donating the book today, Sports Illustrated for Kids Football Then and Wow. I can't make up these titles. And I know you've written in some words of encouragement to our young readers. Appreciate that. And you were mentioning earlier that when you were graduating high school, your parents wanted you out of the house pretty quick. I recall my high school graduation gift from my parents was luggage. So I think I know what that meant. So thanks for everyone being here today. Our upcoming speakers, March 25th, we have David Muth, Alternative Equity Advisors, Monetizing Sustainable Agriculture. April 1st is Tim Kirkmer with Sports World. And then on April 8th, Jeff, I'm going to butcher this name probably, so Jeff Delvio from Adventureland. We thank everyone for being here with us today, whether in person, watching our live stream, or later on our YouTube channel. And as I always say, think about leaving something behind in your life. I think John is certainly doing that. He's got a business to run and operate, and then he goes above and beyond the call to help not only people in his direct line of work, but all trades, trying to get more people into those jobs that are in high demand and help the state of Iowa and the Des Moines metropolitan area. Thank you, John. And with that, we are adjourned.